Hello, 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 hello. Part 1 is now complete, and part 2 is now happening right now. So we've just completed our server, Ableton. Double check that it's still listing the right way. Yes, yes. Ableton 2 and 3, key 3 and 4. So now let's see Ableton. Ableton is open. If we check preferences, you'll see here, I'm just going to zoom in. See here that Ableton and key are selected. So what we want to do for the setup that I'm showing you, you can set up in your own way, but we want key out of the picture. Key is only for MIDI key to key. This one right here. So I'll show you that later, but for Ableton, you want to select track and remote, and also the output, the same thing. So Ableton has the track and remote, and the output of the Ableton is also track and remote. Then with MIDI key to key, you can't call it MIDI key because it's not his real name. You select MIDI devices key and key and press start. Why? Well, here, MIDI channels, each MIDI port has 16 channels each. And so I guess all the information that I'm dedicating to MIDI mapping in Ableton, I just want to have as many available options as possible. And I also have my own dedicated MIDI port for MIDI key to key. So I guess there's just no any crossover, and it's not too confusing for me. And it's not too confusing in general, really. And it just means you get double the amount of MIDI messages available. So now that we've done that, I'll show you how this stuff works later. We'll get into opening up Open Stage Control, and we'll do some really basic stuff. First, we'll just do a button, and then we'll do a slider, and we'll call it for that. Maybe a button and then a slider, and then also a keystroke command for Ableton. So you press the play button, and then you should get this new screen happening. I'll just decrease this window. There we go. So we have this window. I'm going to minimize this server window. I'm going to put Ableton to the side for now. Put this one to the side too. We'll just worry about the new window we've just created in Open Stage Control. So you just go ahead and make new session. And you've got to your left the project tree. I will explain that a little bit more later, but it's pretty much like a directory of all the pathways that you've created. And then we've got an inspector window over here. So if I was to bring this a little bit larger. So let's make a button to command Ableton. The first thing you want to do is right click, add widget, basic button. And that was easy. Look at that big old button. And you'll see in the project tree to the left, it's now there's a pathway to the root of the project, and that is this button. It'll make more sense once we introduce more elements. But you see here that the button turns on and off when I click it. So let's go over the inspector window. I think that might be a good idea. Actually, I'll just zoom in on here again. I feel like I should have a zoom in button or something. Anyway. So, the first thing you have, I'll bring the... Maybe I'll bring this over here. And I'll bring this over here too. The first thing you have is the type of thing that we've just created, the type of the object that we've just created. And if you want, you can switch it. You can actually switch it to any of the other objects if you want. Like if I wanted a fader, there you go, you've just created a fader, just in case I've changed my mind for some reason. Then under the type, you've got the ID, and the ID is pretty much the name of the object that you like. It's its code number. So when I say, yeah, like if I'm like, this is the Smasher, then it changes the project tree here. Here. So that's the name of the button. That is the name of the button. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the text either, but it's just the name. And so that means if you want to like talk to the button with scripting, so if you want to be like, whenever I press this one button over here, can you please tell Smasher to turn on? Then you identify the command with the word Smasher. That's its identifying number. Not number, it's just an ID. Visible interaction. Whoops, I don't know what interaction. Pointer I've been interacting with it. Anyway, geometry. This is the size. So left means the left corner where it's positioned pixel wise. So if I move up and down, the left number doesn't change, but the top one does. So these are the coordinates for the top left corner. So if I move to the right but don't move up and down, the top stays the same, but the left changes because the left point changes its coordination. So if I move both of them together, they both move. So up and down. So yeah, it's like the left and right, no, sorry, the left and top coordinates, like here. And then the width and height is kind of managed from these points. So like how far away is the right side from the left. So it's 290 pixels away. So if I extend it out, it's now 320 pixels away. If I extend it less, it's now 160 pixels away from the left side. It's the same thing with height. So how far away is the bottom from the top? So now it's 110 pixels. Now it's 370 pixels. So you get to the corner, and this determines how big the box is. So these two numbers determine the size, and these two numbers determine the coordination. Now, I do recommend changing these numbers from pixels to percentages. It will make life easier, because if I move this to the right, the box stays the same. Like it's in the same spot as it was before, because it's locked in pixel wise. But all I have to do to change it to a percentage is press the percentage button right there, and overlay, like, just, what's it called? Delete the previous numbers. Now it won't work. The percentages won't work until you tap the left top corner and the bottom right corner. So if I tap the top left, it puts in the coordinates for the percentage, and then it's the same thing with the bottom right. So this is pretty much the same thing, but now it's in percentage. So it's like, this is 70%. Like if I was to, this is 70% across the screen. I think I'm saying that right. So like, this point is 70% to the right. And then this is 5% from the top. I think there's better language to say that. And then the same thing with the width and height. This is 25% of the whole area. Like, it takes up 25% of the whole area's width, and this takes up 35% of the whole area's height. So now, if I change the actual project screen, so if I drag this out there, then the object listens and matches its coordinates depending on the screen size. So I'm gonna just show you. Ooh, I'm just gonna show you. I'll work this out better next time. Sorry for the fuss around, but here we go. So if I put this here, so if I move it down here, then the size of the box matches the percentages in the geometry box. See? Same thing if I go up and down. So it's always the same percentage. And this is really useful if you use iPads, because everything that you're doing on screen will match the iPad's screen perfectly in the way that you've arranged it in your window. So let's zoom this back in so we can see a bit closer. All right. So if you select off the box, it won't have anything, but if you select on the box, it will have the coordinates again. Unfortunately, I don't know what expand means. Oh wait, maybe it's exact. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I should really do this stuff before I had to do a tutorial. But if I was to do this, nah, it doesn't do that. I thought it might. Anyway, I don't know what expand does yet. Later we'll find out. Now we've got style. Before we do that, I'm going to change everything to percentages again. And remember how we do it. All we do is just change all that to percentages, tap the top left and tap the bottom right, and then it changes the percentage. So the next thing is style. Style. I'll move my screen. Move me out of the way a bit. Okay, the main thing really is color. No, sorry. Yeah, this color. Color the text. Let's make it red. Great. Color the widget. So if you select one of them, then it will affect the rest of the color of the widget. So maybe this pink. And then the auto just means it will kind of copy the things before it. So if I change the color stroke to blue, great. And then if I change the color fill to green, yeah. Though I'm confused about what the color widget is. Oops. I'm not an expert, unfortunately. So that's looking great. Let's delete most of it so it doesn't look so whack. Nah, it's alright. Maybe it's not that bad. Alpha stroke. It just means the transparency of the stroke around it. So if I want it to be fully colored, I want the stroke to be fully colored, then the blue outline will be very thick. But if I want this to be very thin, then the blue outline will hardly be noticeable. So on auto, it's just in the middle on 0.5. Auto fill. I mean, so alpha fill. Alpha fill off is the transparency of the fill of the box when the button is turned off. So when the button's turned off, it's 0.15 transparency. So you can just see the color. And with the alpha fill on, it's on 0.75 transparency. So it's got a lot more color going for it. See? That's a lot of color. But it's still slightly transparent. I can't really see it, to be honest. But it is. So if I was to change the alpha fill off to 0.6, see, it's slightly, it's way more solid, and it's way more solid green. And if I press it again, it becomes brighter again. So if I change this back down to its auto, and then if I do fill on, if I make that 0.3, then it'll only do a very slight fade on, like it'll show a bit more of the green that way. Line width, I can imagine what you would assume that would be, the width of the line around the box. Very easy. Padding, that's the, I guess it's the, what's it called? The gap between the stroke and the color fill. HTML, I don't know anything about, but all I do know is if you want to label something at the top, you can be like, I'm a label, and it will appear at the top. This is for boxes that don't have the text in the middle, I guess. So that's HTML. And CSS is where a lot of magic happens to the box. And I don't understand CSS that well. The only thing I do know right now is font size, which I find pretty important. You can't just write font size. You have to write font size 200%. There we go. Now we can see the word better. And obviously it just keeps going. Or you can be like, I want it tiny, so 20%. So let's keep it at 400. Great. Okay. The below, down here, color text on, changes the color of the text when it's on. Label, turns the label off, but as like it said, you can be like, I am a label too. You can still do that in HTML. Vertical changes the word on the vertical side. Warp means if I'm writing a lot, like if I'm writing a lot, let's see if it does with this. Hello. It doesn't do it with that. I thought it would. Maybe it will do it with the actual widget name. It does. Hello there, matey. I'm a good... Okay, well, it's something like that. I haven't figured out how to space things between each other. For example, if I press... Okay, my enter button is not working. False. Oh, whoops. That's why. So, unfortunately, I have little knowledge as to why... I must have, Hey! Okay, there we go. See, I don't know why it does that, and this is going to be in CSS, the answer, and I've yet to explore that, but for now, my secret to not having the words overlap is literally just Shift-Enter. So you need to press Shift-Enter if you want to do an actual enter. So that's been my solution for now, but I bet there's a solution in CSS. I just don't have that answer right now. And in CSS, you can also do background images, which also takes a bit of knowledge. There's a good YouTube video on it, though. So I shall study, and I will also bring into Ableton maybe. But it's on YouTube. There's definitely a YouTube video on it. Maybe I'll get it up. This is the video. So I do recommend this person, Mac Music. I do recommend him. He's very good at scripting. He's really, really good. He actually understands everything. He's an expert. So this will, he does this tutorial, buttons, CSS and customization, where you'll be able to import images. I might do a tutorial on it as well, but for now, I don't understand. I have not attempted to do it just yet.